business agenda item on the contingency as well. It should run real quick
That's
to
like the second,
it. So
first one.
yeah, and then it won't. It should be
Oh,
pretty
it's the
quick.
first one.
Yeah, we did that on purpose to try and get you out of here, but also have you here in case we have any questions there. So,
Anybody starting to speak?
no.
That school I darn by, several
heard of
times a
any.
day, and it's just like, just when they get to rocking and rolling, when they brought in the heavy equipment and they're digging, for like the, for the footings and stuff. Then here comes the rain, and so then things sit, but boy, they were working.
Yeah. Well, no, you're good. Well, yeah, but this, you can't steal, I've been together for a long time. For better or worse. You got up there.
Don't know. We fought. I don't know how much to do.
I thought about waiting until the very
hear that,
end. But all these people. Yeah.
keep the crowd or whatever.
I can't
Well, it's something about going back
figure out
there.
the time on my car.
And we've got quite a bit to talk about back there. In fact, we got more.
So I've been on the wrong time. Every time I get in
We
my
had
car, I have to
something
do the
that
math,
happened.
right again.
Cleaned up a little bit. She's got like a haircut.
So you got a photo ingredient?
I don't know.
Who's that guy?
Just throw it in the news. Luke? Yeah, he probably got hit that curveball so hard and he was getting nasty. Struck him to the first. I mean, he loved the bases out. Just walking him. Very good. My plate was a little tight there for a while.
Almost there.
That's what it looks like down there.
That clock, I can't.
I have to put flavor in it to get me to drink more water.
Oh, I'm surprised you're back. Where you traveling?
Oh, it was just
Where was that, by the way?
it's down by Quentin. You know where
Okay.
Quentin is?
Yeah.
We were in Quentin.
Strangely enough, I do.
Yeah, big town of Quentin.
I had a friend at Stillwater that he and I were administrators together that was from Quinton. So.
Yeah, there's not much in Quentin.
Okay, I think we can go.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order, the Guthrie Public Schools Board of Education for Monday, March 11th, 2024. Would you please call the roll?
Gerard.
Here.
Schroeder.
Here.
Pearson. Here. Salee.
Here.
Davis. Here. Smedley. Here. Flagg.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Item 6 on our agenda this evening is the presentation of employee and student recognition.
Mr. Hancock?
President Flagg, members of the board, Dr. Simpson, come to you with finishing up on February's, as we had a student who wasn't there whenever we wanted to do our presentation. So I'd like to announce our February Student of the Month, Ms. Brianna Valdez. She was nominated by Mr. Justin Galloway. 7th grade social studies. They get great things to say. So that's our February Student of the Month. Our March Student of the Month is Ms. Kennedy Wheeler. Kennedy was nominated by Ms. Jordan Ammon. Both of those students received a $50 gift card to Walmart Foundation Insurance. Our March support employee is Ms. Hallie West. She was nominated by Kristen Hooper. She helps out in their pull-out room and helps guide those and students that need a little extra instruction. As you can see, she received her plaque and a $25 Sonic gift card from the Lions Club.
What building?
She's at Cotterell.
Okay.
And then our Certified Employee of the Month, it was Ms. Shayna Vaughn. She was nominated by Mr. Frank Sanchez, Mr. T.J. Buford, Ms. Mandy Sharp, and Ms. Anna Solis-Campo. She's a district-wide nurse. They said that basically any time there was any trouble or anything, she stuck around and made sure that those kids were taken care of any time. So she too received a $25 gift card from Sonic by the Lions Club.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Item 7 on our agenda this evening is the presentation of state champion wrestlers.
And we will not, we're going to push this to next month. Our state champion wrestler, and I'll talk a little bit about the wrestling program and the wrestling team and all of our winter sports in my report, but our state champion wrestler is not feeling well, and so get home and get well so he can be back in class soon.
Okay. Item 8 on our agenda is comments to the board by citizens registered to speak to the board.
We have none.
By board members.
So, Mr. President, fellow board members, Dr. Simpson, I didn't prepare anything for tonight, but as you know, this is my last board meeting.
Unless we have a special.
Well, unless you have a special. So as I came in tonight, I seen this hat, and it's pretty special. I appreciate the gift. I look at the back of the helmet, one plan, one purpose, one district. We've achieved a lot in the last 12 years, and I credit that to Dr. Simpson and the leadership staff here. There's been phenomenal professional growth that I've observed and been my honor to be able to. I thank you for the gift. I look forward to the presentation tonight from the Long Range Planning Committee. I know, 12 years ago we were in a very different state than where we're at tonight. We certainly are one district, and so I want to say I've become very fond of the board members. I frequently tell, my friends and family and people that I know that we have a very good Board of Education here that I feel like represents the districts, the value of our families, our parents, and I look forward to Benny joining. I know Benny's here tonight, so he'll be the board member filling my spot next month. So with that, I just want to say thank you for the gift, and it's been a good 12 years. So.
Travis, I want to say to you that you and I have come a long way. Our dynamics have definitely improved, and I very much value what you have done for the Guthrie Public School system. I respect your knowledge and wisdom very much, and Benny, you got big shoes to fill. Thank you very much for your service.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank Travis as well. Been on here 4 years, but I knew early on that Travis he's a deep thinker. He's a critical thinker, and he brings a lot to this board. We all specialize in different areas, but he brings a different mindset that I really think's been good for the board and good for the district. So I appreciate your service.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, Travis, thank you for your time. The one thing that I learned when I would sit in committee meetings or board meetings or just in conversations is you were never, ever afraid to hit it head on. I mean, it wasn't that you didn't want to offend people, but you wanted the answer that would best serve our district, and we appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I will concur with what everybody has said. It's been, I'm going on my 9th year, so we've been on the board the whole time you were here, and you've been a tremendous asset to the district and all the accomplishments that we've made over the last 12 years, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, kind of, ditto, ditto, ditto. But yeah, we've, shared a lot with Janae. We came a long way because when we first, I think I was on the board and then you came in. Yeah,
I'd say,
but it has a little bit, but it's been a good ride, and appreciate your dedication.
I appreciate that. What I'd say is I feel like I have learned more from y'all. My professional growth is, my life experience is better because of each of you. So I know y'all have been very patient with me at times. So
I wanted to add that being the newest one, not really getting to work too much with you, but overall I've been impressed with the board as well, with seeing some of your leadership. And then, before I even joined the board, just seeing when we were, raising the energy for the bonds and stuff like that, and seeing your presence. And so it's been something to look up to.
well, thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Travis. Item 9 on our agenda this evening is the superintendent's report.
First item I wanted to go over is board member training balances for continuing education are at your seat. If you notice a discrepancy, please see Samantha so that we can get that reconciled and make sure that we don't have any incorrect balances. And we want to make sure that we, as we talk about the dynamics and the quality of this board, we want to make sure that we keep our board members seated that are here. The next thing, we completed our winter sports season with an incredibly successful run. Our boys wrestlers finished 8th and crowned a state champion in Caden Herendine, who successfully defended his title. Caden's unable to be here tonight. We were going to honor him. He'll be here next month. And the boys and girls basketball teams both advanced to the area tournament, with the boys losing a heartbreaker instant classic, if you watched the game, in the area championship, and lost in double overtime. And watching the boys and the girls compete and get better, watching the wrestlers compete, we've had a remarkable extracurricular year. We've got the national champion from Ag. We've got all kinds of good stuff going on. And so I'm really proud of our kids and for what they're doing outside of the classroom and representing our community. A reminder that the Guthrie Educational Foundation is hosting Are You Smarter Than a GPS 5th Grader on March 26th at the Meridian South Campus. It begins at 5:45 p.m. If you'd like tickets, please see Mr. Hancock or Ms. Walters, and this is the largest fundraiser for the foundation that funds grants annually to our teachers in their classrooms. Obviously, we're going to hear in a little bit an update from Crossland Construction, but I wanted to let the board know that we have met, Ms. Cotton and myself and Mr. Thompson have met to discuss an educational opportunity for our Cotterell third graders, where they get to construct a replica of a precast concrete panel, which is scaled down in size, similar to the walls of what that new gym's going to be. And they will then use a miniature crane to put the panels in place. The actual work on this project will be something that they can then observe after they've done this, taking place shortly after the learning exercise. And so we're trying to seize on the opportunity of having the construction site right there to give the students an opportunity to have some hands-on object learning. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I know Ms. Cotton's excited about it, and we are too. A reminder that spring break is March 18th through the 22nd with no school. And the last thing, Travis, I feel like we've kind of grown up together. One of your first board meetings was, I think, my second interview for this position. And know that I've developed a tremendous amount of respect for you, even when we disagreed. And I wish in other areas of government and places like this that climate existed, because I think we'd all be a lot better place if it did right now. I remember one of the things that you told me the first time we sat down and met is that you hoped that by being on the board, you could help us pass a bond issue. You not only did that once, you did that twice. Your viewpoint was always useful to me, and even when it may have looked like it was not heard as well as maybe you'd like, it was heard. And your counsel has been incredibly important to me in 12 years as superintendent. I consider that one of the reasons in our growth, along with the rest of this board, why my tenure as superintendent has outlasted many others in this state, because we have worked together. And, but more importantly than that, I value our friendship.
Thank you, Dr. Simpson.
Yeah, that's my report.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Simpson. Item 10 on our agenda this evening is a presentation of the Cotterell Elementary construction update.
So February made good progress. It was still a lot of good work. Just building the building pad, getting ready for the foundations, which we started working on now in March. As you can see in the pictures on here, we completed the north half of the, well, in these pictures, we went to the northeast quarter, but now the entire north part of the pad is complete. Working through small issues with the dirt work, but that's gone fine. And we've progressed on a lot of utility line work that's been down the street a little bit to provide sanitary sewer service to the school. So that's progressed well. That line is nearly done, and then we'll move on to the water line. On the second page, you can see all the rebar for our foundations we delivered. So that's good. We started doing concrete work. We should have our first concrete for this week. So that'll be put into the gymnasium. We did this is a March thing, but we did the filled piers underneath the gym, and they're adequate piers, and we expected that to take 2 weeks, and we did them all in a day. So that was awesome. The crew was from out of state, and they couldn't live from home for a month. As soon as they were done with this job, they got to go home. So they did it all in a day. So that was very cool.
That works.
Off-site, you can see on the second page, we have all of our precast panels for the gym have been poured. This is what that educational program will replicate as we begin. So those all were poured in February in Columbus, Kansas, from the precast plant. And our electricians traveled there and left them all the electrical work. So that's all complete. It's ready to be delivered to the job site. So that'll be really interesting to watch. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what Dr. Simpson mentioned. Crossland owns an education company called Pittsco that has this program they've done once before, where they actually have a little robotic frame, like you mentioned, that they're doing now. And it's just what he said. They have this little class that they form into a forum, and they watch it fun, they get to decorate there on the little wall, and then we'll come back, I think, a week later with the frame, and they'll get to see the frame. Well, we'll see us actually place the film, and then we'll get to see the frame placed there. So it's a really cool educational opportunity. A lot of the kids that did it the first time like it, so we're looking forward to doing it here. It'll be a lot easier here because the site is right out the door, so maybe even a lot more students will be able to see it in the picture. That way it's pretty cool.
We think this is Crossland's early recruiting ploy for staff members in the future, but we're okay with it.
We need some. We're growing all the time. So as we move into March, like I said, we'll do a lot of foundation work on first winning schedule for this week, and we'll be changing around the retaining walls, finish up site grading, and continue with interior work. That's kind of the way we're progressing. Precast wall panels are going to be in April. Those places will fit. Moving well. You guys have any questions about progress? You want to talk about the This contingency modification number 2. Last month we presented contingency modification number 1. So number 2 is actually going to be an add back to contingency, so that's an awesome thing. We bid out bid package number 2 for the project. There were 2 remaining scopes that had not been accepted in the first bid due to various errors, and then a couple of them we didn't get a bid for. So at that time, we took allowances for each of the scopes, and we held those in our GMP that was already agreed to. And each of the scopes came in, a couple of them came in well under budget, but because all those scopes were under budget of our allowance, we're able to get the difference of that back into contingency. So it gets the school a lot more money back to use for the project, and then it's not spent per day. So, Dr. Simpson, you want me to go through line by line?
We've talked about this in committee, but I think maybe just the net and then of what this did, because just the bid opening alone was, what, $339,000 reduction, if I remember right, and then we've added some with some of the dirt work challenges. So our net is, if I'm reading this right, Lane, is $280,250.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a reduction in cost. Let me kind of make that clear for everyone so that the people watching at home and everything else understand that as well. Questions? And, this is an action item down after the Long Range Planning Committee, but Lane's here right now to answer any questions. Or if you have something come up that after we talk about it that you have another question about, we can during that part of the agenda as well. So. Okay.
Well, thank you guys very much for your time.
Thanks, Lane.
Thank you.
All right, item 11 on our agenda this evening is a presentation of the Long Range Planning Committee priorities.
Okay, and in your board packet, you have, in pages 5 and 6, you have a letter that is to the Board of Education that outlines the Long Range Planning Committee's recommendation of priorities. One of the things I wanted to discuss before I invite a couple of the committee members up is some of the things that I framed this with the committee before we really started and got into the meat and potatoes of this whole endeavor. And it's something that we talked about when we had our board retreat as well. And these are some of the things that are, kind of realities of our school district right now. And first of all is our enrollment trends. We see the anomaly in 2020, 2021, the 21 school year, where we lost about 25% of our enrollment when we were going full on 5 days a week, and people look for other avenues and things like that, and then they've all kind of come back gradually. Now we're seeing growth that we believe is growth not of people that lived here immediately after COVID, but people that have moved in. And in fact, you'll see when we look at the capacity and optimal capacity and enrollment by building here in just a minute on a slide that I've got, I've had to adjust those numbers since I presented that to you at the retreat in the fall, because they are up. So the next slide that I wanted to, and it's kind of hard to see here, but you can see that we have 967 homes platted inside the city limits or adjacent to. And we've talked about this. We have almost 700 homes in just 2 subdivisions, Mission Hills and Guthrie Farms. And they're building right now. And some of those are dried in, some of them are getting close to being ready. I drove by Hillcrest Farms, which is on the north side of town this afternoon, and noticed that they have made some progress with their infrastructure. They're not moving quite as fast there. They don't have the streets in, but they do have the water lines run and that sort of thing. These homes these neighborhoods are getting ready to be occupied. And so with that and what you just saw that we've got, now we've got to look at where we really are with, you can see we're at 95% capacity or above, or I'm sorry, 90% capacity or above in 1, 2, 3, 4 of our buildings right now. Total is at 88% capacity for the district. And as I've always offered this disclaimer caveat, the optimal capacity that I've provided for the buildings is probably not, if you were to ask the principals, especially now that they're here in front of us, that's probably not what they would say is the optimal capacity, but it's what I've looked at as what we consider the optimal capacity. So obviously we have to be prepared for some things that are headed our way, and how we get there is a jigsaw puzzle that is very complicated. And how we fund that is a piece of that. But what I charged the Long Range Planning Committee with was to prioritize the things that would get us from one step to the next to the next. It would be very easy to say we need $120 million right now and we need to do all of this stuff. That's not realistic, because we've got bonding capacities we've got to meet and things such as that. But getting this going where we are ready to come out of the box with a bond election, potentially, we've talked about in August, that would allow us to seamlessly finish construction of Cotterell and then talk about the next steps going forward soon after that. Is what we discussed with the Long Range Planning Committee. And we've got Tyler Calvert and Zach Robbins here. If you guys want to come on up and kind of go through your part of this. And just keep in mind also that Tina Smedley was also on that committee and sat in on all the meetings. And we toured all of our sites. We saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and listened to the principals in each building if they were available, or we talked to them about the things that are the challenges with those buildings. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to our folks, and thank Dr. Simpson and his staff for the opportunity to do this. I was born and raised in Guthrie, and it's very important that we continue to grow and just maintain the feel of this community. Again, thank you all for that. I wanted to start off by just generally describing, for those that aren't aware, the committee met 12 members that are listed in this letter. It's a diverse group of community members all the way from teachers, former students being myself, not only myself, but several others. The city manager took part in this as well, which I think is a great addition. You know, he needs to be exposed to as much Guthrie as he possibly can to benefit he and the community as well. So, we met multiple times throughout the end of last year and the beginning of this year with the intent of touring, and we were able to achieve, from my understanding, 100% of facility, just touring those and really being able to see personally with our own eyes the needs and being able to discern, between needs and wants in a community like Guthrie. I think we did a fantastic job with those diverse needs. That's the most important part of it, and we'll talk more specifically about the proposals, but to Dr. Simpson's point, the capacity of the schools is obviously the biggest talking point, and so I'm going to, with that, go ahead and talk about this before we get started.
Okay, thank you, Board. Thank you guys very much for allowing us to have this committee. One of the things that I spoke of, I've been honored to be on all three of our long-range planning committees since the beginning. Back then, my hair was redder and didn't have to have reading glasses, but as life goes, this is where we are. But the first night of this committee, I was able to look at all of the committee members, and I told them one thing. I said, the beauty of this committee is that the board has taken the things that we have proposed and talked about in the past. From the first one where Travis was on with us, and then I think Jennifer Johnson was on us on number 2, and then Tina was here with us. And I said that the beauty of this is I'm back because every time previous we've been heard. We've been listened to. Our priorities have been respected, and I think the beauty of this is that you will put things down, we will talk about stuff, and then you will get to see it come to fruition. You'll get to see buildings, and you will take pride in it. You will drive past Charter Oak Elementary and go, I got a part of that. And I said, that's the beauty of this committee. And I said, now, we look at Cotterell. I go to Fogarty. There's all sorts of things. And every time I see one of those projects that we talked about here and you all made happen, it brings great pride to me. And probably too much pride. But I do appreciate that very much. And that is such an important part of this. And I believe that, because of that, I think that we take this really serious. And so I just wanted to begin with that and thank you all for valuing us as a committee so greatly. That's very appreciated. So as we went through the buildings and as we looked around, we kind of, this time different from the others where we were just looking for things that we needed to have. This one, because of the growth and because of the things that we were able to do, we were kind of able to put kind of a plan, more of a long range, more than what we need today and what's responsible. And that's one of the things that we always tried to do. Of course, just like Dr. Simpson said, you can just throw out $120 million and say, let's go for it and see if we can make that happen. But in this and with this group, we do have a responsibility. And as a committee to put something to you, because
this takes real dollars from people's real lives in order to happen. And so that's what we've always tried to do. We haven't just thrown up dreams and said, let's go for it. Everything has been with the taxpayer in mind and with the burden and all of those factors. And so with this, we were able to kind of put together more of a where we want to go kind of thing, and then our priorities kind of go with that, and there's steps, kind of dominoes, so to speak. So in those, it says we propose the following steps as funding is available. Number one, to increase elementary capacity district-wide in order to accommodate moving 5th grade students to the elementary building. And so that was it. And then number two is by doing that to be able to create the upper elementary building into a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade center. So we could have both all of our junior high, all of our high schools there for all of the benefits that would give us. The ability to add on to some of our electives and no busing. And I mean, there's FFA, ROTC, all sorts of programs. We can start earlier. We can do even if it doesn't match exactly, you're still on the same site, and those kids begin to know. In the same way that when we went to neighborhood schools, so those students could be more acquainted to the building for longer, this would kind of serve the same thing. Everything past the 7th grade would be on that one area. It would make for a community within the community there. And so then by doing that, we would be able to take the 6th graders and create a single 6th grade center in the current junior high building. And those things was kind of our pathway, and then our priorities are what's going to try to get us to there. And then your job is to kind of decide how you allocate those funds and those things in order to try to do that. But I'm going to give the first 4 priorities, and then Tyler's going to give the last 4. The first priority we saw connects up with number 1 there, is that we need to increase the capacity of Charter Oak and Cotterell as it's currently being built. We need to address the immediate needs within the district, but specifically with those 2 schools in mind. And we had kind of talked just a little bit about being able to fairly budget friendly, be able to add 125 to 150 students at each site, which then, as you guys know, it's kind of about allocation, allocation moving in order to try to achieve ultimately what we want to do. The second one...
Zach, let me interject on something here, too. I think it's important to keep in mind Charter Oak and Cotterell, the design of both buildings was to be built onto. And to the people, if anyone's concerned about the fact, well, you knew you needed more room at Cotterell, just a reminder that the board, the bond issue that funded Cotterell was passed in 2018, and had we built with the money that we had to be fiduciaries of the public funds. And actually, because of COVID and because of inflation, that building is really about $3.5–4 million more than what the original budget was for, but we were able to leverage ESSER funds for some of the other projects that we promised so that we have enough money to build that building. But the notion that we should have known, there weren't 900 homes platted inside the city limits when we took the Cotterell plan to the voters. And so I wanted to make sure that we made that clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our second priority is to continue to maintain the mechanical and infrastructure needs of the current buildings through maintenance with bond and building funds. We know that anything that we have, anything that we use, anything that we utilize is going to wear out. And so in that, as a priority, we need to continue that And, again, that is kind of where our recommendation is there, and then you guys take it from there. Priority 3, which is a big one, is to construct a new elementary school on the 38 acres currently owned by the district on the east side of town. And that would be, Dr. Simpson, do you remember kind of what we had talked about? Size?
Yeah, about a 500-seat school, similar to what Charter Oak was built originally and similar to what Cotterell is being built for right now, with the idea that we would build on to that as well when funds became available. And we have somewhat paired this, not hardcore, but somewhat paired this with our bonding capacity to look at around a $23 million building, and that would allow and account for inflation by the time we can get to there, based on what our architect has projected.
And so that would be, with that would be that thing that would then give ourselves enough capacity in places where we could begin these projects in this pathway. We've got to have enough spaces and places to put the youngest students so that we can do those things on the higher end age-wise with the children. And then the fourth one is to continue to maintain and enhance both our technology and our security needs district-wide. It's the same thing. We realize that we have to, we can have buildings, but we've got to have things that run inside those buildings. And so with that, though, we felt it important to recognize that. In that, and then plus we also have Dee and Cody the whole time, and they were saying, hey, what about us? What about us? Cody and his road. We'll talk about that. But these are the first priorities that we have, and then I'm Tyler's going to...
So priority number 5, that was targeting athletic facility updates to address gender equity needs with the wrestling program specifically. So it became very apparent during the tour of the high school facility that with the growth of the wrestling program and the diverse, being able to have boys and girls wrestling, that poses its own issues. And so being able to make some adjustments and give those kids the facilities they need to feel safe and secure and comfortable in that environment. I mean, by far, that's the most important thing with that objective. So priority number 6, address the needs of failing parking lots across the district. That's definitely a earmark for Cody. It is apparent that those need to be addressed. As far as priorities go, you could adjust these however you'd like, but I do think that good roads and parking lots are very important. Priority number 7, add a science wing and competitive gymnasium to the current upper elementary building, so it effectively serves the junior high students with the long-range goals of moving the 7th and 8th graders over to that upper elementary and providing them adequate facilities to do what they need to do. That's a pretty big transition in students' educational life, if you will. Being able to accommodate them appropriately, that's a very important thing. So again, I know that's a long-range perspective on something that needs to be done, but it became very apparent to us in our conversations. Priority number 8, reduce the student population in the current junior high building to only 1 grade, being 6th grade. So a phased renovation of the interior to begin, then allow for future student population growth. So again, this kind of goes hand in hand with that science wing and competitive gymnasium. The junior high, it has its issues, but that still is a sound building, has a tremendous amount of opportunity to continue to use that in a quality way. But allowing for the district to be able to shuffle those kids around to get those renovations done in a timely fashion and hopefully a cost-effective fashion was a priority. Even though it's number 8, I do feel like it has every bit as much weight as the rest of these priorities that we're proposing. So, with that, I'll leave it to you all. I appreciate the opportunity.
one thing I wanted to mention before we get to Q&A, on the wrestling situation. One of the things, the wrestling program has grown tremendously with interest. It's not an adequate practice location. We don't have enough space for practice. We don't have enough locker rooms, and what we are using right now is not adequate. It's not unlike what school districts were faced with, large school districts, in the early 1970s when girls basketball was added. And many schools, their gymnasiums did not have enough locker rooms to accommodate the girls' team and the boys' team. And some districts took that head on quickly and provided for their students. Others put Band-Aids on it that they fought for years. And you guys what I preach is, let's try to avoid the Band-Aids. And if we have to use them, they're only temporary. But let's have a permanent solution that we have in sight. And so that's where we talked about, and in fact, we had a wrestling parent on the long-range planning committee, but it wasn't a wrestling parent that made this suggestion. It was the parent that has 2 young elementary girls that they're not wrestling right now, but I see a mom that thinks they might. And to me, that was powerful when we were in the room. And that was something that, we were listening to that. And, it resonated with me that this was identified as a need and was championed by someone that doesn't really have any skin in the game right now, but felt like it was what is needed for our students. And so I think that's where we're talking potentially build a wrestling workout building with no locker rooms, convert the current wrestling room and current locker rooms into a boys and a girls locker room. And those are underneath the gym seating on the visitor side where the bleachers are. And those are the things that we discussed. Cody's got kind of a Band-Aid that we're going to work on in this off season, but it's a Band-Aid, and Mr. Chappell and I are working on potentially another Band-Aid that could get us potentially a different practice location and some other options. But these are temporary solutions, and we need a more permanent solution.
I would like to make the point that of the 3 long-range planning committees, this is the first scholastic, read, writing, arithmetic type thing that we have ever added to any of these as a priority. We saw the deficiency that great at this spot that we chose this to be the very first. Things came up, it always comes up as we go through, turf this or do this or build something, and we always put that, we say, well, we've got to push that down because we've got these pressing needs. And in this one, of all the 3, this is the very first athletic thing that we've prioritized in all 3 of the committees, just because we looked, we went and toured, and when something is that bad, we just really felt like, hey, this has got to be on here, even though we've tried to steer away from that and be like, hey, these are the priorities, classroom, safety. This one thing we just really felt was a necessary addition, and that's why we did put it on there.
Tina? Anything you want to add?
Well, just in sitting on the committee, like Dr. Simpson spoke to, was that it was such a diverse group of people. We had people that represented the city. We had parents from, I think, have kids in every site in the district. So, they came into it with a very open mind. They were very inquisitive. They asked lots of questions and put a very thoughtful process into coming up with this plan. And it's very difficult because, after you've toured the facilities, you see that the needs are so great in our district. And it's, we all want to put some fluff in there. We all want, like you said, boy, we sure would be like that. Let's get some turf or let's do something fun. But at the end of the day, we have to have seats for kids. We have to have chairs for those babies to sit in. And so I just appreciate that the committee, really prioritize that.
Did their job.
Any more questions?
Gonna let them off that easy? Gosh.
One thing, when you talked about the homes being built, that's just in city limits.
Yeah, that's not even.
There's hundreds more outside. I don't know how many, but
I would guess, and I don't know, Zach, you're in real estate now, but my best guess is in our school district, we probably have 1,800 homes platted. Because I think there's at least double what's inside the city limit. At least as much outside the city limits as inside the city limits.
It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's here, but there's a lot more coming.
Yeah.
I'm a banker by profession, and I primarily do consumer real estate lending. That is my niche, if you will. And in having conversations with local builders, I know that there is one platted development on our list that number has it's increased by 100 homes already. So a builder came in, purchased additional real estate adjacent to that already platted development, and they've added another 100 lots to that. So playing catch up.
No, I think it looks like a very good plan. Zach, you pointed out, the focus has always been on having classroom spaces. And, this is really what this plan still is. There's, the other things in there, there's not a lot of fluff. But it's also very exciting to see this. The focus has always been classrooms, safety. It's exciting to kind of see that momentum now when we're working through and building new buildings, and now we're talking about the junior high and doing some things there. I think what I do like about this, I've always had a question mark in my mind about the high school. When do we outgrow that facility? And so what this, I think, handles nicely is, expanding to fifth grade at the elementaries and putting ninth grade at the guests, so you kind of take some pressure off the high school, buys us more time before we have to do anything at the high school. So looks like a very well thought out plan, and I appreciate both of your engagement and involvement in this. I know it takes a lot of time. Zach, third time around. That's
glutton for punishment.
You've been a real champion for the district, and I certainly appreciate that. It's kind of the unsung heroes that work on these committees and are really out there championing these things that you may not get the credit you deserve. But I sure do appreciate it. And a very good plan. Thank you very much.
And I'll say something about, we kind of joked around about, I appreciate Cody's insistence on having parking lots on here. I really think that we can begin to address some of those needs with some possibly red bud funds or some building funds. I'm sending Cody to
choked up over this.
But I think we've got to have that discussion, and we've got to have that as a priority, because we do have some parking lot needs that are becoming dire, that we have put off, and we all know that asphalt, if you don't maintain it, it can cost a whole lot more to bring it back up to speed if if you don't maintain it with an overlay. And so that's something that we've got to keep that as part of the conversation. And so I appreciate Cody doing that.
Well, seeing firsthand, we did appreciate the opportunity to meet with the site principals. But I will say this after 3 times. It was Jerry Gamble before, but now it's Cody and Dee. Those 2 men and their staffs, they are invaluable to this district. The things they do, the passion that they have, the love that they have for what they do, I'll tell you, they are heroes of this district. And you saw that firsthand.
I agree. They're not just waking up and going to work.
Sometimes I wonder when Cody goes to sleep.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
This is an information item, but I do think that we will be needing to have some conversation in fairly short order to begin the process of what the board's desire is on the next steps with regard to, and I think I provided in committee meetings to all the board members, but we have a timeline in order to meet that election deadline and the election resolution. And that's why we urged the committee on so that we could get this board meeting where the information is presented and made public, and then we can move forward with whatever we need to do to get this stuff on the in front of the public for their consideration. So it will probably be a discussion. I'll probably have conversations with board leadership about how quick we want to get to this, but it'll probably be pretty soon.
All right, thank you, Dr. Simpson. Item 12 is the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson. Yes. Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 13 is moving to our business agenda. The first item is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon contingency modification number 2 for Crossland Construction.
Okay, and on pages 40 and 41 of your board packet is what we talked about. That's also in your construction update. Lane is still here. I knew he'd want to hear the Long Range Planning Committee report too, as a scouting report maybe for him. But what I will say is this was really good news. One of the things that I noticed was and we kind of discussed this in Property Committee, the allowance on kitchen equipment, we were quite a bit under, but we feel like the bidder is of quality, and also maybe they were trying to buy some business. And it appears that is one item that, through the strange odyssey of the inflation with COVID, that may be one item that we found that actually has decreased in cost from what it was, instead of just remaining stable and not ever going back down. So we feel good about that, and I don't know, did anyone have generate any questions for Lane during that time? Lane, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Sure. I wanted to just add on some of these items, like I know it, food service thing, that's a bit that's well under our budget. Maybe something we missed, and that was the risk for the school. But once they bid and they sign the contract, they're held to the entire scope of what's in the project. They're not held to whatever they think the scope was. So if they miss something, at this point, it's their risk. That won't be that contract.
Are they, so, I mean, Are they insured, I guess, against some of that risk themselves, you know?
Yeah, they have a bond.
Yeah, so the bond,
So they're required to bond every contract and every bid over $50,000. They're required to bond. And they provide a bond for the full scope of the work. So that would be
yeah.
Is this a vendor that Crossland's ever worked with before?
Not our division. I don't know about other divisions, but not those ones. They're out in Memphis.
I will say that as a member of the property committee, I think we all feel like that Crossland is being very diligent with our funds, and there's a lot of confidence, I think, is growing with us.
Yeah.
With
Absolutely.
Keep up the
Crossland
good work.
Construction.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an action item, so I would,
Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move we approve the contingency modification number 2 for Crossland Construction.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the contingency modification number 2 for Crossland Construction. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 13B is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon contract renewal with Sylogist Incorporated, formerly known as Municipal Accounting Systems Incorporated, for accounting applications for 2024-2025.
page 42 to 45, this is in your board packet. Just a little bit of an increase over last year. This is our the software that maintains our personnel records as well as our all of our financial records for both the activity fund and the general fund, building fund, et cetera, and would recommend approval.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the contract renewal with Sylogist Ed, Inc., formerly known as Municipal Accounting Systems, Inc., for accounting applications for 2024-2025.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the contract renewal with Sylogist Ed Incorporated, formerly known as Municipal Accounting Systems Incorporated, for accounting applications for 2024-2025. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 13C is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon contract with S&B CPA Associates, PLLC, for auditing services for 2024-2025 for fiscal year 2023-2024.
You may remember that we engaged for the first time with a new firm for our mandatory audit, and there's a list that the State Department of Ed approves that is fairly small on who you can use for the audit. But this was a merge because the firm that had done our audit previously, the owner had passed away, kind of an untimely passing, and some of his staff went to work for this firm, and so it was kind of a hybrid of a new auditing firm with a little bit different format, but we had some of the same people reviewing our records, and so it went fairly smooth. It did look a little different, and we had to adjust a little bit, but felt like we're moving well with this auditing firm, and would recommend that we renew.
Mr. President, I make a motion we approve the contract with S&B CPAs Associates for auditing services for 2024-2025 fiscal year.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the contract with S&B CPA Associates, PLLC, for auditing services for 2024-2025 for fiscal year 2023-2024. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Clegg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 13D is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon K-6 remedial summer school program.
This is an item that we bring to you annually in March, and we do this so that we can get that scheduled with our for our remediation of our students at the elementary level. Excuse me, and we do it now so that we can find staff, and we will bring that the staffing list to you in May. But this allows us to go ahead and post this, and it's in our Title I and RSA funds that it's funded by. We recommend approval.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the K through 6 remedial summer school program.
Second. There's been a motion and a second to approve the K through 6 remedial summer school program. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 13E is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon District Policy F5 transfers, Exhibit A.
The new transfer law, as you know, requires a quarterly approval of our transfer capacities, and we are recommending no changes to that at this time. We have a few openings at various spots, and then we have some that we are full with. But as we know, when you look at the chart that we have up there, there's not a whole lot of room at the end, and so we would not recommend any increase at this time.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we leave District Policy F5 transfers Exhibit A the same.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to leave District Policy F5 transfers Exhibit A the same. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 14 is the proposed executive session for the purpose of discussing employment of personnel, FMLA request, resignation, separation from employment, and transfers of position request. All is set out on the personnel reports. Extra duty assignments is listed for 2023-2024. Discussion of all building level administrators' contracts is listed for 2024-2025, and periodic evaluation of Dr. Michael Simpson, Superintendent of Schools. Discussion of this resignation of Lynn Steppens, disclosure of which information would violate the confidentiality requirements of state and/or federal law, all pursuant to 25 Oklahoma Statute, Section 307B. 1, 7, and 70 Oklahoma Statute Section 5 through 118.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to move to executive session. Vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Waiting on whoever makes the motion to read that all the way back.
Okay. Only items in agenda number 14 were discussed at executive session and no votes were taken. This shall constitute the executive session minutes. Item 15 is to vote on the personnel report.
Mr. President, I make a motion we approve the personnel report.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the personnel report. Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item upon recommendation of extra duty assignment as listed for 2023-2024.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the extra duty assignment as listed for 2023-2024.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second to approve the extra duty assignment as listed for 2023-2024. Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 17 is the recommendation, consideration, and action upon building level administrator's contract as listed for 2024-2025 without specification for salary or assignment.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the building level administrator's contract as listed for 2024-2025 without specification for salary or assignment.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the building level administrator's contracts as listed for 2024-2025 without specification for salary. Vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 18 is the recommendation, discussion, and vote to enter into the resignation agreement with Mrs. Steffen to accept Lynn Steffen's resignation from her employment with the Guthrie Public Schools.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we enter into the resignation agreement with Mrs. Steffens to accept Lynn Steffens' resignation from her employment with Guthrie Public Schools.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to enter into the resignation agreement with Ms. Steffens to accept Lynn Steffens' resignation from her employment with the Guthrie Public Schools. Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Item 19 is the recommendation, consideration, and action to accept any resignations offered since the posting of the agenda.
We have none.
Item 20 is discussion and possible action on any new business not known about or could not have been reasonably foreseen at the time of the agenda posting.
We have none.
Item 21 is a motion for adjournment.
I think we let Travis make it.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Gerard.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Salee.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
Flagg.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.